Hello. So earlier the Play Overwatch Twitter account just randomly dropped a video explaining the rules of Flashpoint. So now we finally know how the game mode will work and how it will play out. As initially people thought that Flashpoint would be similar to 5 control points from Team Fortress 2. If anyone hasn't played Team Fortress 2 or one of the 5 control point maps, I'll have a poorly drawn example on the screen to kind of show what I'm talking about. But in 5 control point, basically there were 5 control points that would be organized in roughly a line. Teams would spawn on each side and they'd each have control over the 2 control points that are closest to them. And at the start of the game, the only control point available for capture would be the one in the middle. However, once the control point in the middle is captured, then the first control point on the side of the team that did not capture the center control point becomes available for capture. So for example, let's say red team wins first fight, they take the middle control point. Now they can take the first of blue's 2 control points that they have, but the blue team is still able to capture the center control point, and then that would make it so that now blue team has control of the center control point, which red team can still capture, and the blue team can now capture the first of red team's control points. So it's basically a back and forth moving further into the enemy team's territory while also having to defend your own point as a foothold there. Because if the other team takes it, then you can no longer capture the objective that you're trying to take. Because the only 2 points that are available are the first 2 points controlled by each team. However, with them now showing how the game mode works, we now know that Flashpoint will work nothing like that at all. Instead, Flashpoint will function more as a alternative version of King of the Hill. So basically how Flashpoint will work is that there are 5 control points spread around this massive map. And when the game starts, the control point in the center will always be the first one active, and both teams will go there and fight over it, and the first team to stand on the control point and have control over it for 70 seconds will take control of that point. After that, another one of the 4 control points on the map will be made available for capture completely at random, and then both teams will then move over to that control point and fight over it, and the first team to successfully capture 3 control points will win the map. So you can basically think of it like King of the Hill, except you capture the points slightly faster, and it all takes place on this one giant map, with the points being randomly selected each time. And I think this will be a pretty interesting and fun game mode for the most part. King of the Hill, you end up having a lot of downtime between each of the rounds, since both teams have to reset after each control point. But in this game mode, the action will be basically continuous, and it could actually be one of the faster game modes in Overwatch. Because if it only takes 70 seconds to capture a point, it could be over in as soon as a few minutes in some situations, because a team only needs to capture 3 of the control points in order to win the game. It's still unsure if a control point can be selected twice. So say for instance the center control point gets active and then a random other one is chosen, and then if it randomly picks the next control point out of the other 4, or if it will exclude the center control point because it was already picked. Because they could definitely do that, because there are 5 control points and it's first to 3 captures, so I feel like that could definitely add a little bit of strategy, especially if you go into the later rounds of remembering which control points were already played and trying to make your way to one of the ones that weren't picked, so that you have a high chance of that being the right one and being able to set up your defenses early. Because it really seems like mobility will be much better in this game mode compared to others, because assuming the control points unlock almost immediately after the previous control point is captured, then being able to get there really quickly and just capturing the control point means that even if you were to lose the first fight on that control point, you're still probably going to get like 50% progress towards capturing it. So yeah, it doesn't seem like Flashpoint is going to be the replacement for 2CP like a lot of people thought that it would be, but it does seem to be a very fun and interesting take on King of the Hill and control point game mode styles. And I think that it will work very well with the style of gameplay that Overwatch 2 has, with it being very fast-paced and focused a lot on action rather than being a much slower and more tank-focused game like Overwatch 1 was, where you kind of had to rely on your tanks to move in and take space so that you could go in. These maps are going to be very open and probably lead to some very chaotic and active team fights whenever a new Flashpoint is selected. So yeah, short video this time because I don't think there's too much to really dive into off of a 31-second video. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot more to talk about with strategies once we are actually able to see the maps for ourselves tomorrow. So yeah, that's it for this video, and until next time, see ya.